men were killed in a confrontation with the police along the AGUALTA VALE main road in St. Mary earlier today. The men have only been identified by their aliases, Jimmy Lee and Reds. Preliminary reports are that sometime after 2 a.m., the two men were traveling in a car on the AGUALTA VALE main road just outside Anato Bay when they were signaled by the police to stop. The driver did not comply with those instructions and sped off. The police gave chase and persons in the vehicle reportedly fired at them, resulting in law enforcement officers taking evasive action and returning fire. When the shooting subsided, the police found the two men inside the vehicle suffering from gunshot wounds. They were taken to the hospital where they were pronounced dead. The Independent Commission of Investigations, INDECOM, has been notified of the incident. In other news tonight, an unidentified male who allegedly engaged the security forces in a shootout in Spanish Town, St. Catherine this morning was killed and a firearm seized. Reports coming into our news center are that at approximately 2:47 a.m., a joint police-military team was on patrol near the old train station at Oxford Road. The police say the team was allegedly greeted with gunfire from the man who ran after opening fire. Deputy Superintendent of Police Lynroy Edwards said the man was pursued by the team, and when accosted at Redemption Ground, he was shot and injured and an illegal gun was seized. The weapon seized was a Smith & Wesson pistol with a magazine containing 3 live 9mm cartridges. The injured man was taken to the Spanish Town General Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. Now, the Independent Commission of Investigations, INDECOM, and the Police Inspectorate Division have launched a probe into the matter. Continuing with the news tonight, gunmen struck in Westmoreland last night, killing one teenager and injuring 4 other persons, including a 3-year-old child. The deceased has been identified as 17-year-old DELANO Spence of MORASS Road in Hartford, Westmoreland. The Whithorn police say shortly after 9:30 p.m., Spence was at home with other relatives when armed men were observed by residents attempting to set the house on fire. Police say the occupants of the house saw the gunmen and raised an alarm. The armed men then forced their way inside and opened fire, hitting Spence and the other relatives. The gunmen reportedly then opened fire in several other areas of the community before fleeing the scene. Spence and a 35-year-old taxi operator, the 3-year-old, and a woman were transported to the hospital, where Spence was pronounced dead, while the other victims have been admitted and are being treated for their injuries. Westmoreland is one of 7 police divisions under a state of public emergency, slated to end this weekend. Still tonight, senators from the opposition People's National Party, PNP, voted against a motion to extend states of public emergencies in 7 police divisions, effectively ending a move to prolong the enhanced security measure announced by Prime Minister Andrew Holness 2 weeks ago. The government had required the vote of at least 1 opposition senator to have the measure extended for the next 3 months. All 13 government members voted in support of the measure. 3 opposition senators voted against an extension, while the remaining 5 were not present in the chamber when the votes were taken, denying the government the 1 vote required. The leader of government business in the Senate, Kamina Johnson-Smith, called it a sad day. Senate President Tom Tavares Finson went further, adding that, quote, 2 members of Parliament and 3 unelected members of the Senate have put this country in grave danger. End quote. Tavares Finson, who is an attorney, called for a review of the requirement to extend a state of emergency. Continuing with the news, the People's National Party, PNP, held a press conference earlier today addressing national issues, national security, and the states of emergencies, SOEs. Here is Killeen May with more on this story.
The People's National Party and opposition today reaffirms their position on not being in support of the state of emergency SOE extension. Party President and opposition leader Mark Golding, during today's press conference held at the party's headquarters in Kingston, said that the reason behind their refusal to vote for an extension is due to the SOE being a failed strategy that has not shown any improvement to national security.
Yesterday in the Senate, the opposition did not support the extension of the state of emergency beyond 14 days. States of emergency can be declared and last up to 14 days without any need for parliamentary approval. After that, they cannot be extended unless 2/3 of both the House of Representatives and the Senate support the extension. And the opposition in the Senate is given 8 senators out of 21, which means that a 2/3 majority cannot be achieved unless the opposition, at least one opposition senator, supports the resolution. We have not supported the extension of the state of emergency because we feel it is a failed strategy. It has been used over a 3-year period from 2017 to 2020. It did not achieve any lasting improvements in Jamaica's national security situation. To the contrary, we have continued to see elevated levels of violent crime and in particular murders over that period. Furthermore, it has weakened, in my opinion, the crime fighting and prosecutorial aspects of law enforcement because it has inculcated in the security forces a culture that says you can just go and detain somebody and hold them without any recourse to the courts, and therefore the important tasks of police to investigate cases properly, prepare cases for prosecution, and bring prosecutions to the court, which can result in convictions of violent criminals, have not been happening in the numbers that they should be. And that is the source of our problem.
Mr. Golding also said that a government that respects the rule of law would not return to such a failed strategy until the court rule and provide guidance on the use of the SOEs.
It is not an academic thing. It is a fundamental thing. And the constitutionality of this government's use of states of emergency as an ongoing, routine, crime-fighting strategy has been brought into question in the courts, and that matter is now before the Court of Appeal and has not yet been heard. A government that respects the rule of law would not go back to that failed and suspect strategy until the courts have finally ruled and guided them on the matter. So whether it be the practical issues of how to address this terrible problem that we have, or it be the constitutional issues of the propriety of using the state of emergency in this way, we feel on both scores there is no justification for supporting the use of the state of emergency. That is why we have done our constitutional duty to protect the Jamaican people and their rights. And I'm very proud of the opposition for having done that. It's not an easy issue because the government is going to play politics with it and trying to suggest that we don't support the fight against violent crime. That is nonsense. We want to see Jamaica move to a safe and secure society, and we are prepared to put all our efforts behind any bona fide, legitimate, and good faith effort in that regard. So I've made my call to the Prime Minister, and I'd like to hear from him soon.
Opposition spokesman on national security Peter Bunting, in defending the absentees from the vote during yesterday's sitting, says that those that left before casting a vote had made their positions clear prior to leaving that they were not in support of the extension.
7 of the 8 opposition senators were at the sitting yesterday. The 8th is overseas in India on parliamentary business. And all 7 spoke against the extension. So each person made clear their position individually. So the fact that they did not stay until late into the evening to actually cast a vote is really of no effect. They made their position clear, and the not voting for it is the same effectively as voting against it. Those who stayed way into the evening, late into the evening, may have wanted to make a point of the record, the parliamentary voting record showing, but Hansard will record the positions of every opposition member who spoke yesterday, and everyone who is in country was in attendance and made their position clear. This thing about the only 3 or 2 or whatever is a red herring. That's a distraction. The opposition made it clear, every single senator who spoke.
He further added that the sudden need for the use of SOEs is not true.
States of emergency or the states of public disaster, what it contemplates is a scenario where the normal civil institutions of government cannot operate, such as you would have after a hurricane, extensive flooding, earthquake, or an insurrection, or the first instance would be a state of war with a foreign power. Nothing contemplated the serial and routine use of states of emergency as a crime-fighting tool. This sudden requirement that you have these states of emergency is a fiction. It is not true. It is not necessary. There are adequate powers in ordinary legislation, adequate provisions in ordinary legislation for that to occur. And therefore, we will not be assisting the government in perpetuating this fallacy, perpetuating this fiction, which is really an attempt to cover up their failure. After almost 6 years, they have failed abysmally. They have failed notwithstanding immense resources relative to any previous administration to deal with national security. And what we're seeing now is just an excuse and trying to shift blame to the opposition for their failures in this area.
For his part, Lothan Cousins explained that there needs to be a strengthening of the investigative capacity of the Jamaica Constabulary Force because hard policing has never worked in the past.
We do not want to give the military the idea that they'll forever be required to operate as a police force. The role of the military should always be separated from the role of the Jamaica Constabulary Force. We need to work on strengthening the investigative capacity of the JCF. The danger we run when we take the approach of arrest first and charge after, it is not a good approach. It has never worked before. Hard policing has never worked. The opposition has always presented solutions to the country. The leader of opposition in Parliament on Tuesday provided solutions. It is for the government to listen. Senator Bunting has always provided solutions. If the government does not listen, then as an opposition, our hands are tied.
Reporting from Mello TV News, I'm Colleen May.
Stay tuned for full coverage of the PNP's press conference immediately following this newscast. The Jamaica Constabulary hosted its Transforming Our Police Service TOPS Award ceremony as part of Police Week activities earlier today. The competition seeks to enhance the culture of policing in Jamaica, foster greater adherence to prescribed JCF policies, and boost the morale among police personnel. Besides winning the coveted title of TOPS Station, the competition consisted of several sectional prizes including Top Station, Top Division, Top Prisoners in Custody Station, and Top Customer Service Division. Now, after a short ceremony, the winner of the TOPS competition was announced as the Bull Bay Police Station. The Best Station Award was won by several police stations, namely the Olympic Gardens Police Station in St. Andrew South, Almond Town Police Station in the Kingston Central Division, Mona Police Post in St. Andrew Central Police Station, and the Denham Town Police Station in Kingston West. The awards for Top Prisoners in Custody Station and Top Customer Service Division went to the Denham Town Police Station and Kingston Eastern Division, respectively. Commissioner of Police Major General Anthony Anderson encouraged police officers to continue to serve with pride. We go now to tonight's COVID-19 update. 65 new cases and 9 additional COVID-19 related deaths have been recorded in Jamaica, increasing the total of confirmed cases to date to 91,026 and total fatalities now to 2,367. The deceased are a 27-year-old male from St. Elizabeth whose death was previously listed as under investigation. 5 females from St. Elizabeth aged 27, 42, 59, 76, and 79 years of age. A 54-year-old male from Manchester whose death was previously classified as under investigation. An 81-year-old male from Clarendon, an 88-year-old male from St. Mary. Meanwhile, of the new infections, 38 are women and 27 are men, ranging in age from 1 day to 89 years. In tonight's COVID-19 parish breakdown, Kingston and St. Andrew recorded 20 cases, St. Anne recorded 10 cases, St. Catherine 9, St. James 8, St. Mary 5, St. Elizabeth recorded 4 cases, Westmoreland recorded 3 cases, Hanover, Manchester, and Trelawney recorded 2 cases each, while Clarendon, Portland, and St. Thomas have no cases on record for the stipulated period. In the meantime, there were 86 additional recoveries, increasing the total of recovered persons to 62,257. In the meantime, the Ministry of Health and Wellness has announced that some Jamaicans are to be given new vaccination cards. Now, the new cards will be given to those Jamaicans whose cards currently bear the name of vaccine manufacturer, SII, instead of the name of a specific vaccine. SII stands for Serum Institute of India. The ministry says persons with the error should visit a permanent vaccination site to receive an updated card. The AstraZeneca vaccine, which the majority of persons vaccinated in Jamaica have so far received, is manufactured at the institute. Several Jamaicans have been facing difficulties traveling because their vaccination cards do not bear the name of a specific vaccine. The Health and Wellness Ministry says the change has become necessary as it seeks to ensure that the vaccination cards contain the complete manufacturer's information so as to minimize difficulties when traveling. Countries such as the United States currently require visitors to be fully vaccinated before boarding flights bound for that country. The government is set to roll out digital vaccination cards in the coming months. And that's our news package for you tonight. Thank you for tuning in to Mello TV Evening News at 8. I am Shelley Hill. Do stay safe and pleasant viewing.